One of the advantages that music has over the spoken word is the way that it can kind of bypass the logic of our brain and kind of subvert under our logic and speak directly to our emotions. Have you ever been listening to a song and have it kind of explain your emotional state back to you in a way that you could never express in your own terms? If words are able to transport a mental thought from one person to another via spoken word or in writing, music is the ability to take one's emotions and share that with others. And if a musician or singer is singing about something that's common to many people, that can be super powerful. Of course, music can express feelings from all over the spectrum. Whitney Houston's I Wanna Dance With Somebody elicits such joy in a crowd full of people that you can't help but smile and dance. A song like Taylor Swift's All Too Well can bring a room of people who have experienced a misconnection to tears. I could literally think of thousands of examples of individual songs that can just completely alter the mood of an entire group of people just from the music. But have you ever stopped to think about what goes on in the writing process of some of our favorite songs? If you've never taken the opportunity to do so, it can be a super fascinating read to listen to the behind the scenes stuff for someone like Kurt Cobain or David Bowie or Pink Floyd. Something that you may not consider is that for someone to get to such a raw place emotionally, to be able to bear themselves and put themselves out there so vulnerably and so totally, it may take a specific type of person or personality type that may not be the most healthy or mentally stable. When you add in the elements of fame and money and power to these emotionally unstable people, it could be a recipe for some big disasters. But once again, some of the songs that we enjoy most, that have been the most impactful to people in large groups, are from these people who at their core are broken. The pieces of themselves that they share, the brokenness in their music, is what gets people listening. It's what attracts people to them, because we can identify with little pieces of our brokenness in the music of these artists. And that brings us to today's book, Daisy Jones and the Six. Daisy Jones and the Six is about a fictional band from the 70s and kind of the story leading up to their formation, ultimately concluding in their final show, and why they stopped playing together forever. The characters in this book are extremely human and extremely flawed, and they deal with all of the problems that you might think with a rock band coming up in the 70s. They're not great people, and they make a lot of horrible mistakes. Of course, as you might think, there is rampant drug use, which causes a lot of problems for people involved. Alcoholism can destroy people's lives. And the absolute power that comes with stardom can really mess up people's brains. So for a lot of people that have read Daisy Jones and the Six, sometimes they struggle because they don't really see these characters as good role models or people that they should look up to. And that's totally valid. If you've ever looked up a band documentary for some of the biggest bands in the entire world, they aren't role models. They make horrible decisions and they ruin their lives. Sometimes they end in drug overdoses or suicides or other horribly chaotic events. And the characters in this book aren't really that different. They're very flawed, very broken people. But the truth and reality of those elements really help ground the characters in a very believable way. And then you get to the best parts of this book, which is the songwriting process and the thought that goes into the lyrics and the way that these people use their broken selves and their emotions to craft these songs into the masterpieces that they become in the story. Man, it's just incredibly powerful. At multiple moments through the story, when you are seeing what these people are going through and the songs that come out of those events and the ways that they get honed and crafted and sharpened. And one of the best things about the book, and something that I'm sure happens in real life, is you see the behind the scenes of every single decision that leads up to a song or an album release. And then at the end of the album releases that happen, you get to see a reviewer's take on what they thought the process of the album was, or what they thought about the creation of the album. And often it's so different. The perceived reality versus the real circumstances that lead to songs coming out is so fascinating and so real in a way that it really blew my mind. The book is not written as a standard book, it's written as like a documentary style with interviews of the individual band members and people surrounding the events of the releases of these albums. And just as you might expect, you get differing opinions on what happened about events that were in some time in the past from the timeline of when the book is being written. People contradict each other on events. People have different views of events that can completely reshape the way that you see things happen. And one of the most true to life things is you can have two people looking at the same event with their own internal biases and perspectives and completely pull something different out of the same personal interaction. You can have two people have a conversation and pull completely different things around it because of bad communication and because of preconceived ideas and notions that the people had going into it. And that comes across just beautifully, amazingly well in this book in a way that I don't know if I've ever seen before. I realize that it's about a fictional band and a fictional situation, but there are parts of it that feel so real that it's raw. As a lifelong lover of music, it really just touched my heart in a lot of ways, and I think that parts of this book are just going to stick with me for a very long time. And even though these characters are so flawed and so broken, they make such horrible decisions, you still end up wanting them to succeed. And when something good does happen to them or for them, you are rooting for them. It can be hard to explain that juxtaposition on how somebody can make these horrible decisions, but then they try to do something right and it works for them, and you feel for them and you want them to succeed in spite of themselves. I've been hearing people talk about this book for some time now, and it is the second highest 2019 book on Goodreads, just below The Silent Patient. I think there is a solid reason it deserves that spot. If you're the type of person that really isn't into music that much, or into maybe the thought process that goes into writing these songs, I could see how it may not appeal to you. But as a lifelong lover of music, I am so glad I got to this book by the end of the year, and I definitely understand how it cemented itself in such a high position. If you like anything I've said thus far, I really highly recommend that you check it out, but just know that you're signing up for a real roller coaster of a ride. If you're watching this video right now, what are some songs that have impacted you in the strongest ways? Can you think of a song that told you how you were feeling better than you could express yourself? Have you ever been listening to a song where someone's talking about how twisted their emotions are and you felt a little bit of sympathy for them, saying, oh man, I wonder if that person's okay? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've read the book, comment below your thoughts on it. I'm curious whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, whether you loved it, whether you thought it was okay. Let me know if you thought this was interesting, if you're curious about reading it. If you'd like to see more book reviews like this, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you're having a good Christmas season. Until next time, see ya. Kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways,